Frank Vogel recently announced as the new coach of the Orlando Magic, formerly with the Indiana Pacers. Wildwood High grad, Wildwood Crest. As Memorial Day weekend is almost here, we find it apropos to talk to Frank, who's probably yearning for a slice of Sam's Pizza. How are you, Coach?
I am yearning for a slice of Sam's Pizza. How you doing?
We're doing good. I don't know how the pizza's going to be in Orlando or how it was in Indiana, but a kind of a whirlwind couple of weeks for you, I would guess. That I don't know that you anticipated this happening, but what has the last couple of weeks for you been like from, not getting your contract renewed to now all of a sudden have to interview? Because there was a lot of jobs out there that had your name tied to it. So Give us a little insight on what the last couple of weeks have been like for you.
It's been crazy. A roller coaster of emotions. Obviously, having been in Indiana 9 years, 6 as the head coach, seeing that coming to an end, and having to tell my family that we're going to move was a difficult time. But the interest that I received from every team that had openings was was encouraging for me. And I knew I was going to be able to land on my feet, likely right away if I wanted to do so right away. And so I just examined all these situations, and Orlando was the one that really came after me really hard, and was a great opportunity for me, to continue my, sort of my basketball career, but also a great landing spot for my family.
Yeah, and it's funny because when all these jobs opened up and then you were a free agent, I kind of looked at Orlando and was like, that's a young team. That would be kind of interesting. What stands out about Orlando over, Houston and Memphis, and there's Sacramento? There's a lot of openings around the league. Why Orlando?
Well, I think the combination of everything, was the biggest factor. That it checked off all the boxes. Great ownership. I had a good connection with the front office when I spoke to them. The roster, more than anything, probably is what drew me to this team because of where they're at. This is a team very similar to the one I took over in Indiana, with a lot of young talent that hadn't really achieved on the court success yet, and but is sort of ready for that. I feel like the growing pains are behind them with a lot of these young players here, and you got a group that's entering their prime, and to me, poised to have a great run here over the next few years. So. Definitely one that I want to be a part of, and if I'm going to have to move my family and my children, my little girls hopefully will be excited about coming down to the Disney area with all the theme parks down here, the warm weather, and I feel like it's going to be a good landing spot for them as well.
What's a better amusement park, Maury's Pier or Disney World?
Well, we're partners with Disney, so I'm going to see Disney on the air. And I think it might actually, be better park. Even though, I do have a close tie to Maury's Pier, Mariners Landing, everything. I don't think they have Hunts Pier anymore, right?
I haven't been down to Wildwood myself in some time, so I'm not really sure. However, I know that being in Orlando, you got a great opportunity down there, Coach, and you said you weren't just going to take any job, and that's, something interesting because you're watching the playoffs right now, and we see a 73-win team, and they did something all year long. And do you see the style of the game kind of changing right before our very eyes in these playoffs? I mean, is it the way that we thought the league was going? Is it changing all of a sudden, like over the last week?
In my mind, there has been a lot of teams that are playing this new style of play with 5 3-point shooters out there and a lot of small ball. But it doesn't mean you can't win the other way. It doesn't mean you can't win with 2 bigs and with a traditional lineup, especially when you have great talent like Russell and KD have and the firepower that they bring to the table. It's an interesting contrast in styles what you're seeing in that Western Conference Finals, but I don't think it's really going to change back. I just think that there's a new way of playing that has been very successful for teams, but you definitely can still win the more traditional style as well.
Which series has been more of a surprise? Oklahoma City, is dominating the right word, or Toronto tying this thing back up?
It's difficult to really say. I'm not really surprised Toronto tied it back up because I know how good they are. We played them in a 7-game series, and man, they are machines up there with the way they play, with the depth that they play. It was a little, maybe a little surprising they didn't play better in game 1 and 2, but I'm not surprised to see them tied up. It's easy to say that it's a surprise to see Golden State is down 3-1, but when you look at the Thunder team and the coach that they have, I'm not really surprised that they can beat anyone. You know, they have a group there that is as talented as any in the business. And to say that you're surprised that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are winning that playoff series, you can't be surprised. I mean, they're two of the best in the business, and like I said, they're very well coached. So that's just two heavyweights out there in the Western Conference going toe to toe.
Frank Vogel's with us, the new head coach of the Orlando Magic, and I think the day that you were not retained, there was just a overwhelming amount of people who just said, "What are they doing out there?" Was that something that was an eye-opening experience, that when they told you, "Hey, Frank, we're not bringing you back," and then a couple days later, Dave Yeager, he's out. You know, here's a guy who wins all the time. I asked Brett Brown about this, and he's like, "You know what? It is kind of disconcerting a little bit that guys who are great coaches and winning coaches aren't keeping their jobs in this league." And here's Brett with 10 wins, and he gets a contract extension. Is that hard? Is it very difficult that job that you have currently right now? Is that something that opened your eyes at all?
Well, to me, it's always been this way. You know, there's not really ever been, while I've been in the NBA, a lot of stability, and winning isn't just good enough, and it's not always the only factor. You know, there's a lot of things that go into play in terms of establishing a tenure. You do have to win. You have to develop players. You have to have strong relationships with your front office. You have to have strong relationships with your fan base, and you have to have strong relationships with your players. And you got to keep things moving in the right direction. A lot of balls to keep in the air, so to speak, to have success and to sustain, a prolonged tenure. So it's always been a little bit of a difficult profession, but we understand that going in, and we accept that, and we accept that comes with it. And luckily for me, I was able to find myself in another situation right away.
Well, Frank Vogel's with us. You were in Indiana. You had the 20th pick. You moved up to 11 with Orlando, and as you know, Philadelphia has 1. Would you be a Simmons or Ingram guy if you had number 1?
I've never seen either one of them play, so I don't know.
How about that? All right.
I mean, it may be flipping on a game during the season to watch a couple minutes here and there, but not enough to make a real evaluation.
That's fair.
That'll all come. I don't watch a lot of college basketball during the year. There's always NBA games on, and there's always an ex-opponent to watch tape on. So if I'm watching basketball, it's typically in the NBA, and the month of June is where I really study who's available in the draft.
All right, then. Who's your finals pick? You going Oklahoma City, Golden State, Cleveland, Toronto? Who you got?
I think all 4 of those guys have a good chance, so I'm going to leave it at that. How's that for an answer?
I think all 4 have a good chance as well, and I get criticized for that kind of answer. But I'll let you kind of give that answer. I know you've been very busy, Frank, with a lot of interviews. That process has got to be wild in itself in trying to make the decision, family, moving, and we do appreciate a couple minutes of your time, Coach.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.